All right, welcome everyone. I'm Wes Warren. I'm here with Greg Stanley. We are from Whitehall Management. Today's topic is risk management inside your practice. And as we go through all these different areas that you have to manage risk in, you'll see how it can affect your decision making and potentially either stop your practice dead in its tracks or put it on a path to grow. And your ability to know those risks, know how to manage them, in essence, really puts you on the path of growth. Have I got that wrong, Greg? I mean, this is kind of a big deal.
I think it's a big deal because I watch doctors left to themselves underinformed, meaning they don't really know what happens with certain activities. For example, they put a big limit on how much people have to pay up front, or a big limit on their offer or whatever. And it really can slow them way down, and they'd like to do different, but they don't know the outcome. So that's what I'd like to talk about today.
Sure.
Let's take some examples. The one I don't remember the executive's name, but he was the new CEO of J.C. Penney's, and he brought in right pricing as opposed to discounts, bargains, having a table with a sign up that says, half off or whatever. And, the thought was, well, people probably know you've overpriced the product and then you discounted it. And we're just going to do right pricing and we're going to be right and do right. And the result was a failure. It was almost on par with Bud Light today. It was just tragic. Another one was Panera Bread. They came along, their CEO came along and said, I think we're not trusting people. We got to trust the good in people. And so they made it so that people could pay whatever they wanted for their order at Panera Bread, their sandwiches, soup, sodas, desserts, etc. Some people will pay more, he said, and some people will not pay anything. Well, it turned out almost everybody paid nothing. And so they tried it in 2 locations and pretty quickly had to pull that off the market. In other words, they were trying to take the risk on themselves and they took too much risk. And I think our doctors are terrified when we really start talking about shifting risk in marketing, shifting risk in payroll, bonus, etc. That's what we're going to cover. We're going to cover what we've learned that you may not have been clued in on yet. I had a client once back in another life. He had a string of printing stores, and there was one that he bought, and before he took over, I got in there and looked at it, and the wall was covered with plaques. It was one of the things they did was sell plaques, and all the plaques said any printing left over 2 weeks will be thrown away, all printing paid for in advance, no checks, no third-party check. There was a wall covered with risk management plaques. And I've seen dental practices that almost shop there, it seems like. So let's talk about risk management and how we can win, I mean, really win, by learning what's been determined about these things. What have you learned about managing risk in marketing in dentistry? Like we can make a big offer or maybe make no offer.
So I believe there's 2 types of risks in marketing. So one is the risk that you take on as the company, your dental office. You try to take on the risk of, hey, you want to try us out. So here's the offer. For trying us out, we're going to give you this great offer. So you're taking on the risk. But then there's also the risk of trying a new marketing company. That's kind of the risk management thing. So first, with the marketing company, trying out new marketing companies, especially online companies, it seems to be a lot of people try different ones all the time, would be assessing cost per new patient through the marketing company. They will do a lot of fuzzy math and say how many clicks they get and all this kind of, I got 900 clicks this month and, you got 98 calls, As you know, a lot of those patients would have found you anyways if you were using that marketing company. You've been around a while, so they kind of lump in a lot of that stuff under you. So you got to do your homework and make sure that internally you're tracking the new patients, how they learn about you, and really try to isolate how many are really being generated from online traffic that is not legacy, let's put that way, legacy online traffic, meaning you've had a website for years, you've had a presence in the community for years. It's not uncommon just because of that, that you get 6, 7, 8, 9 new patients just because of that per month period. And they'll claim that as their own. So you got to learn how to extract that. When you do that, if you can do that, you should come up with a number of cost per new patient under $200 a new patient if you're a general practice. If you're driving obviously higher end services, it can be double that, it can be triple that. But for just a GP practice, that's your metric. If you're above that, you should question the company you're with. If you're with a company and they're in that range, you should be able to say, here's another 1,000. Can you deliver me 5, 6 new patients more a month? If they can do that, it's just a scale with that company. If they can't, and this is kind of knowing that risk management, that's where you go, okay, I need to leave this company. I need to look at different options. That's, I would say, a little bit more straightforward. Risk management, where you're making offers to patients. So the more crazy the offer is, meaning I'll give you $1 million to come in. Obviously, that's not going to work. But there's ranges of offers: free exam and X-ray to free exam and X-ray and cleaning, $19. Free exam and X-ray and cleaning, free exam and X-ray and cleaning to $39, $29, $59, all the way pretty much to $99. And we see that continuum, and that's the risk management continuum. Your ability to take and go deep inside those offers and actually win is a testament to your team and your systems and your own probably own personal ability. The further you can go down that continuum and dig into a $39 offer, exam, X-ray, and cleaning, and do well, it's a testament to those 3 things.
Just a comment or a question, Wes. Let's say we take the risk. So risk is now shifted to our column in marketing, and the phone blows up. And we've got dozens and dozens of calls. Maybe half of those people tend to be bottom feeders and so forth.
Tire kickers, yeah.
You're saying the motivation, the training, and the engagement of the employees can turn that dice throw, that risk, into pure gold.
Absolutely. We'll typically see offices be able to do it to right around $39. Below that, we struggle, to be honest, because we're taking on too much of the risk. Most offices can handle $99. You're doing well if you can handle $59 exam, X-ray, and cleaning patients and come out and get an ROI on it. It means your systems, your team, everything's fairly strong. That's the risk management, and you definitely want to be able to handle that zone or lower. The only time that you would say, nope, we're not going to do that, we're going to have a high offer, is when you're at peak, you're already at capacity. So as the doctor's already full, why take on the risk? Why you shouldn't take on more risk? This is that risk management argument. If you're already full and really all you need is 3 or 4 more new patients a month to really kind of be the capstone, no, you shouldn't take on more risk.
Let's go a step deeper. Let's say that we're bringing on an associate doctor whose abilities probably are a fraction of your own as far as converting people to treatment, patient satisfaction, patient referrals, et cetera. You're saying that you've got to have a team strong enough, trained well enough, motivated enough to take those weak marketing people, some of which really are looking for something for nothing, and turn it into a profit, even in the face of a weak associate.
That's the trick. I mean, that's where you'll see massive market share change in your area, where it all goes to you and your practice. If you can really get your team to do that and have strong systems and how we bring new patients into the practice, yeah, that is the secret. I mean, that's how you gain market share. But for those of you that are already full, yeah, there's no point. You would want to shift the risk away from you and onto the patient. But as you're trying to grow, and if you want to add an associate, you got to take more and more of the risk and then have systems inside the practice that can overcome those risks,
Right.
essentially.
If you don't have that, associate's going to be a real challenge.
Right. If you're just taking, hey, I'm busy, I'm pretty good with patients, so I can deal with these people. Let's bring on an associate and just crank it up. No, that doesn't work. You're relying on your associate to be you. That's not a system. That's not a system.
I would say that from our time in the trenches, you and I have learned a lot about this kind of risk management. I'd like to bring up another point that really opened my eyes. During the downturn of 08, 09, we saw practices, especially higher end, high quality practices, had high paid staff, expensive real estate, all of that. They went down in flames like they had been blown up in the air. It was terrible. Some of them recovered by plumbing the depths of membership. And I've seen people say, oh, membership, I did that. I charged $399. And for that, I gave them a 2% discount on their treatment. And I gave them a free toothbrush when they came. In other words, that is not risk management.
You're not taking on the risk, right?
You're not taking on the risk. Let me tell you somebody who did. I won't mention their name, but my gosh, they went to $99 when everybody else was at $299 for membership. And they got people, they gave a 30% discount on a crown or on dentistry that would probably be classified in the higher end of the price scale. And they absolutely took that to the bank. They were busy night and day. They had associates. Everybody was busy when everybody around them in 2009 was dying because they took the risk and knew how to manage it. You've got to face this. You're going to have to learn to manage risk if you want to shine even when it's cloudy. If you want to do good, even when it's bad outside.
Yeah, you got to learn how to manage that and win through strategy and systems. It's that simple. So the more risk you take on, the more risky it is for you. But you're counting on your systems, and obviously we haven't really talked about that. What systems make this all work out. But bonus systems, how you recruit, how the team is trained on how to prepare a new patient before you walk in the room. So that would be pre-assessing. That's all stuff when we talk about systems and the quality of those people.
So if you got that in your arsenal, you can take more risk. If you got all, people.
That's right.
Let's go to another one. I'm thinking of employees. You brought something up when we were discussing this about new employees today seem to be able to walk in and demand almost jaw-dropping hourly pay. Can you comment on that?
Yeah. So what we have in this environment right now is people demanding basically top, like proven player pay, meaning like normally speaking in a normal environment, let's say a proven assistant makes $25 an hour. And unproven, meaning we're hiring somebody new, you might start them off at 21. You'd be gladly to pay them 25 once they prove themselves. Because there's such risk on you that most of them are lying. Most of them, basically their resume is questionable, as far as what to believe when you interview them. All stuff you guys know. You're taking on tremendous risk to pay this person $25 an hour, assuming they're as good as your seasoned vets. That's the risk. That's risk management. And what we have now is most of our doctors just unwilling to do that. And they want to bring them on at 21, 22. That would be a stretch. Most of them want to say 20. And what happens is you don't get access to the market. You don't get access to the proven players, the people that are good. You get all the bottom feeders and fakers that are willing to take that, where the good quality people, they can command that price. They know it. They've got a community around them that knows they're good. Employees that filtered out from the practice that they're working in with other doctors saying, hire her, I've worked with her, she's an A player. You just miss out on all those people. The problem is this risk management, because for every one of those, there's probably 4 fakers is the issue. And that's the risk. And
So you
that's,
face the possibility of sitting there understaffed, losing patients. We had doctors that couldn't literally process a good, strong flow of patients because because of what you said, they couldn't match the market because the market jumped so quickly. And the people that responded, the staff, were such a heavy mixture of undesirables. Now, I would like to go to another end of the employee spectrum.
okay.
I learned this when I recently changed home. When I go to a home now or look at buying a home, they always point to the trees being mature and you should be willing to pay big for this. I learned from living in a house long enough, if trees get big enough, they break up everything from the sidewalk to the driveway to the foundation. And big trees are like your nightmare. We spent literally $3,000 to $5,000 to get rid of a tree in a yard full of trees that got too big. Now, in dentistry, we have staff that have been with us 30 years or 25 years. And it's almost the same phenomenon. The roots are so deep, we don't even consider them as to whether they're giving us full measure. We don't even look at it. A lot of times they'll be sitting there and patients will walk in and nobody attends to the patient. The patient is angry, finally walks out. We don't even think about addressing this with a 30-year employee. And if you don't know how to manage long-time entrenched employees, you're as naive as I was looking at homes with huge trees.
Wow, that's a great point. It's a great analogy. I had 2 trees just like that were destroying my house, that I had to rip out. I remember the tree. You're specific. It was destroying your pool, destroying your fence. Yeah, you can have employees that are pretty much the same way. They have gotten to the point where they have the root is so deep, and you're almost terrified to pull them out, and they're causing more damage than they're worth.
It's not that they're not recoverable. They're about as recoverable as new
As anybody, yeah.
staff are people you can fire up and get them to move. I will never forget, I went to a friend of mine's house and his wife let me in. I walked in, he was in the kitchen in the floor with just his head sticking up. The roots of the tree had come through and cracked. They didn't have a basement either. They had cracked the foundation of his house, broken pipes, and it was a nightmare for him. It was so expensive, he was trying to fix it himself. I think if I would have shot him, he would have thanked me. So this idea that because I have people 30 years, in some ways it speaks well of the practice and you and so forth. In other ways, it delineates a challenge that really only few know how to rise to. So risk management comes with new employees as well as with entrenched employees.
Yes.
So
how about bonus, Greg?
Oh.
This is probably the one that most people get caught up in and really fail the test. Most of our doctors they don't know how to manage it. They've come on the losing side of it and just kind of conclude, hey,
I think this one is the best of the best in talking about risk, because I know you've learned things. I've learned things about bonus risk management that are so far out of the understanding of most of our people. For example, our fear, the average doctor's deepest fear isn't that a bonus won't work, but that it will work and that staff will figure out how to take advantage of them.
right.
They'll take the practice from 100,000 to 200,000, but they'll get bonus on a day that I don't go in and don't produce. Or the fear is somewhere along the way, I'll get cheated. And let me tell you how far this goes. It goes so far as I actually have 2, not 1, 2 doctors who found their staff cheating on the bonus, shut it all down, and lived to regret it. Their staff were producing literally 10 staff were producing like 35 staff. They were absolutely incredible with what they could do, with how they could motivate staff or patients to treatment, how they worked together as a team, because they got this incredible paycheck that they had literally managed to negotiate illegally to themselves. Now, that taught me that we tend to naturally err on the side of being too careful, trying to keep our risk too low. Let me give you an example. Some people will do a bonus and it's a monthly bonus. They tried weekly, but someone figured out how to bonus themselves on a week that wasn't that good. So they go to monthly, and then they go to quarterly or annually, until finally staff don't see how they can ever bonus, and they literally quit engaging and quit pushing the practice.
Yeah, the risk has moved all the way on to the employee, and the doctor has taken no risk with the bonus. And you know you're failing if that's the case. If you feel like there's no risk on you, that it's 100% on them, no matter how clever you craft the bonus so that it's like, hey, there's no risk on me. If you're feeling like it's a zero risk on you and it's all on them, you're probably not doing it right. There needs to be a balance, where both of you are kind of taking risks.
I've seen doctors finally fatigue from this whole back and forth and say, I give up, you win. Here's an extra $6 an hour, all of you, another $6 an hour and no bonus. And staff go, oh, that's great. We were hoping you would do that. And they give you about 1 week of wholehearted engagement, become entitled, and go back to their old minimized self.
If you're in a practice that is fully developed, you're the only doctor there, yeah, I would agree that a bonus is not going to light the fire. That's not going to create those little holes that you're usually wanting to fill. That's not going to do it. But if you're in a practice that you are wanting to grow, that there is openings, and you're looking to add an associate, this is crucial, getting this right and taking a little risk on yourself in terms of the payout, and that maybe potentially they might make out a little better than you do on the growth, is something that if you don't manage this just right, you won't get the effect of the bonus.
You have to continue to manage it.
Yeah, you have to continue to manage it. And you have to make sure that everybody knows that these bonuses, we're going to set this up this month. I'm going to change it, modify it every month. Don't fall in love with it. Don't think it's evergreen. And it's something you have to dial in so that it just gets just right. The continuum is this. If it's too easy, they don't push. If it's too hard, they don't push. Meaning if they don't believe they're going to get it, they just kind of, that'll never happen. You get no push. And if it's too easy, you get no push. Meaning we already know we're going to get it. It has to fall right in the middle. Has to be just hard enough, just easy, where they know they could get it if we just do a little more. That's the secret. And your job is to manage that. And that's why it can't be an evergreen bonus. That's why it's got to be manipulated all the time. And that's your job, is to kind of this risk management we're talking about, and get it just right. And when you get it just right, it's a game changer. It's a game changer.
Well, it actually, for the first time, when you get the marketing and the staff to function together, that's the first time you have access to associate productivity, the associate profits. Bonus risk management, if you ask me, it's everything. Occasionally had staff, after a time, it's usually a leader within the group throws up their hands and says, we've talked about it, this bonus isn't even worth going for. And the doctor is insulted and takes it away. But I'll tell you the thing I've heard the most. We did bonus, yeah, it worked great. But then summer came, July came, a lot of staff were out, I was out, a lot of patients were out. We got away from bonus and never got back to it. I hear that more than anything else I hear is that, yeah, we did it, it worked for a while. Everything has to be reworked and re-engaged. I've had people go all the way with bonus with creativity until it spins my head with amazement, the things they come up with. So you know what, if you really think about it, if we find a doctor who wants to talk to us, it's because they're facing risk and they're losing. They don't know what they don't know.
Mhm.
And we show them where it's based on their situation, what they've mastered and what they've yet to master. We can show them how they can take more risk and win.
And win.
Anybody can take less risk. Yeah.
Right, right.
You know,
And that's the secret in this whole business is risk management. Your ability to take on more of the risk and still win through, and mainly speaking, it's through systems and how, like you say, carefully crafted bonuses. That's how you win.
an example, Wes, I saw in Texas a period where sweeping through the state, people were offering to place implants for $550. And of course, that's unsustainable. That doesn't even cover the cost of the hardware in most
Yeah,
cases,
right.
and the marketing, the hardware, et cetera. Until I got inside of one of those offices and found out they were killing it because the fine print said that was the first implant only. The others were at full price, probably $5,000 each. And they had learned from their
Right.
experience that 1 out of 8 people will literally rob them blind, come in and get a free implant and leave. But 7 out of 8 stayed and got tens of thousands of dollars of dentistry done. And literally that person that came into, if I could put it that way, kind of steal from them by taking advantage of them, that has to be built into their overall marketing costs and expectations.
Yeah,
So
that's in essence what we're talking about. Right.
the essence of everything is who's got the risk and how well do you manage it?
That's right.
All right.
So if
So
you have questions, right, in terms of marketing, employee risk, in terms of hiring new employees, that's a risk on you, paying somebody more than what you think is the market rate, or this is all stuff you would want to talk to us about. There's a link. You can join our mastermind group. If you do that, I think everybody should that's listening. You can get access to us, get this stuff answered.
in closing, I know we're out of time. Just to bring this up, we'll discuss it at a future date. But the idea that an associate comes in and demands a lot of money, if you understand the dynamics of that risk and how to structure it, you really aren't taking the risk you think you are. So we'll explain that at another time.
Right.
Get in touch with us. We'll be glad to discuss all this with you. Thanks for listening.